Okay, are we set to go? Great. Oh, what is this intro? Alright. 3, 2, 1. Alright. How's it going, everyone? This is Winterbit, and I'll go ahead and let my couch introduce themselves right now. And this is Shantae. Last time this game was at a GDQ was SGDQ 2014, and the run has evolved quite a bit since then. I will go ahead and get things started in 3, 2, 1, and off we go. So the game starts out immediately with a bit of action here. You're just minding your own business, hanging out in your house over here, and the cannonball just comes right through the roof. So we're gonna have to navigate Shantae across this RNG bridge. We have to react live to these cannonballs as they fall. So far, so good. There we go. Get ourselves out of the way for that one. There are 5 scripted cannonballs on the bridge. That is one of them. And they break the bridge and have the potential to despawn the random ones, which is always very nice. And there we are. Pretty smooth. Didn't lose any health. So at this point, the game's gonna explain to us what is going on. We're gonna meet Risky Boots, the lady pirate. If you're familiar with later games in the series, you will know her. And in this game, she is after a steam engine, which Shantae's adoptive uncle Mimic has just invented. So I like to point out all the opportunities that Shantae had to stop Risky Boots right away, and didn't. This is one of them. She just stands there and watches her walk off into the sunset. So that's a bit of a shame, but of course there would be no game without a little bit of action. So this is Scuttletown, the town that half-genie Shantae here has been hired to guard. And so she's basically just doing her job right now. Navigating through the town. Now the game may appear linear right now, but it becomes a Metroidvania after we beat this first level. So it's going to become very open world, and we'll have quite a few movement options. Right now what I'm trying to do is make a cycle. There's a Mega Man style series of bricks on the wall coming up right up here. And we're going to try to do some maneuvering to get up as fast as possible. We got the early cycle, that's nice. Let's shave one more cycle off of that. Oh, and we were a little bit too eager there. That's okay though, I can still show off the strat. It's just this. Get up here and we're good. Easy as that. A little bit more plot exposure here. These Tinkerbats are working for Risky Boots. They steal the steam engine and leave behind a nice little present for Uncle Mimic here. Not exactly the most polite way to greet a guest. We have a little bit more navigating through the town to do, and then we are going to get started on our first boss. A little fun thing about these platformers right here. You can crouch, and that allows you to maintain your run speed for some reason. So I do that to save a little bit of time getting down there. We don't need the safety heal, which is nice. Hop over these guys. And here we go. Nice and easy. So the trick to this boss is letting all the Tinkerbats die and then whipping the dynamite barrels as many times as possible. Hopefully I'll get 7 on the first cycle. It's humanly impossible to get better than a 2 cycle, but you're pretty much guaranteed to get a 2 cycle every time if you do this. Hopefully it works out. Alright, we got 6. That was pretty slow. But not too bad. Just gonna chill out here, wait for these cannonballs. And phase 2, here we go. That was another opportunity for Shantae to just deal with Risky Boots directly, but I guess she doesn't feel like it today. I have to whip each of these dynamite barrels 4 times per window. If the dynamite barrel spawns in the same window more than 1 time in a row like that, it actually saves a few frames, so you want to hope for good luck there. Just like that. And 1 more. Ooh, I was a little bit too eager there. Okay, and we're good. Looking to be about a 505 exit out of this area. So coming up here is about a minute's worth of plot exposure. So this is the perfect time for donations if we have any. So Mimic's just gonna explain how he happened across the diagram, the blueprint off of which he built the steam engine. And it pretty much explains the entire motivation of the game, which is to stop Risky Boots from using this steam engine to take over the world. So, no pressure or anything. Also, shoutouts to Bootleg Shantae in the crowd. Shoutouts if you notice it. And we're off. So we're just gonna go ahead and head out of town. Here's where the game turns into a Metroidvania. We're gonna head right first, through the Scarecrow Fields, which have quite a bit of RNG attached to them. These dirt dogs can pop up anywhere within a set boundary. If they're too far away, they will stab you with the spears. If they're too close, then they will hit you with your body. Using audio cues to figure out where to jump to avoid the scarecrows, which do the same exact thing. And that was a little too far away. I'll just hop over you. I could easily damage boost through any of those guys, but it's a lot safer, especially for marathon purposes, just to avoid them completely. This level's pretty free. All you have to do is hold right and jump. So you can go ahead with some more donations. Time for one more. Okay, we are just passing the dribble fountain. We will come back to it very shortly. However, now we're navigating the waterfalls, which is easily one of the most challenging rooms to learn in the run. There are several precise jumps that you have to make. Not all of them are very easy, and quite a few are blind, so you have to know what you're doing. So I do have to focus a little bit right here to make sure I make this jump coming up right here. Nice. And that was the perfect waterfall. What we're doing right now is entering Watertown so we can talk to Bolo, one of our pals. Herein we find out that Risky Boots has been through here already, and she was looking for the dribble fountain, which we just passed back there. So just gonna take care of this, and then we're going to pop into the save room for a second so we can set our death warp marker back to Watertown instead of Scuttletown. And this will save quite a bit of time later on. There's an occasion where you end up on the left side of the map, and you have to go all the way to the right side of the map. And since Watertown is as far right as we go at this point in the run, this saves us quite a bit of steps. All we have to do is pop in, we don't actually have to save, because the game is silly like that. And now we backtrack. Coming up is one of the more interesting mechanics of this game, which is the day-night cycle. In just a few seconds, it's going to turn to night. And the most obvious difference, besides the graphics and sound effects becoming different, is the fact that we now have to deal with enemies that are twice the strength as normal enemies. So this considered, we do have to take a little bit of a different path through certain rooms if it is night instead of day, because it's ever so slightly faster. And there is a town halfway through the run, that's fine, that we have to make during the night cycle, or otherwise it just won't be there. The town does not exist outside of nighttime. So that's a little bit of time pressure that we have to work against until about halfway through the run. Bola's going to show us how to get into the dribble fountain, whereupon we shall enter our first of 4 labyrinths in the game. Hey, look at the flick of the wrist! Whoop! So coming up is our third opportunity to just grab Risky and take care of things right now. But of course we don't take it. We're just gonna stand here and watch her jump down the hole right in front of us. That's a pretty high IQ play, honestly. So the labyrinths have some interesting text to them. I'm gonna take a death right here on purpose to gain back my health. And lose a life in a convenient location, because we do need to drop down quite a bit in lives over the course of this labyrinth and the next. Now, if any of you happen to see the run in 2014 of this game, this is the first major deviation in the route, where we actually want to pick up the 5 gem drop that this wet gal delivers. And we're going to get 4 more of those 5 gem drops, along with the usual 3 20 gem drops. I'll explain why later. Right now we're picking up our only warp squid in the run. It misses it is mommy. We do need 4 warp squids though, in order to access a warp dance that'll allow us to return to Oasis Town later on. We're going to use that dance twice over the course of the run to warp back to that town at will. You might be wondering why I only need 1. I will explain that later as well. But for now we have a bit of a puzzle to figure out. These tiles are RNG. So their starting position is RNG and their finish position is also RNG. You kind of have to react to them live. Also, that was not the best jump to make. So the reason we're collecting 25 extra gems in this labyrinth is because we need to pick up Storm Puffs in addition to 3 exit candies. Storm Puffs cost 25 gems apiece per pack, and they will allow us to kill ourselves during cutscenes and effectively skip them, making them not cutscenes but cut scenes. Sorry, not sorry. So now the difficulty ramps up to 4. I'm going to use my shorthand here, 1311. There we have it. I'm going to pick up this 5 gem drop and worm our way down the hole. Let's see if I can get this blind hit. No, I could not, but that's okay. Bling. The general workflow of this labyrinth, and all labyrinths really, is find the key, get out of there, find another key, access a new door, and so forth until you discover the hidden genie in the labyrinth, who will give you a transformation dance. These transformation dances allow you to turn into various animals, such as monkey, elephant, spider, or harpy. And they give you quite a few movement options. Monkey is by far the most technical and useful for the run. And that is the one that we are going to pick up at the end of this entire labyrinth that we're going through. Now this is a Wetman, but I prefer to call him Meta Knight because he likes to block as many times as possible. He only blocked me twice there, which is very good. You might notice that I am dropping low on health right now. This is on purpose, because we do have to Death Warp at the end of this room. 3, 2, 1. That's easy. So 3 is Squid, 2 is Fish, and 1 is Nautilus. There we go. Had better luck than last time. Come on. There you go. So right here I'm gonna take some damage on purpose. Get myself down to a half heart. And then as soon as I solve this puzzle up here, I will go ahead and die on purpose. So I return to the last door I walked through, which is at the top of this tower. Conveniently. There we go. That was a little bumpy, but we made it. And here we go, blind jump. And we made it. Nice. Okay, so here comes the first transformation dance. If all goes well, this is the only genie cutscene that we'll have to watch in the entire run, so keep your eyes peeled. Quick stretch. And we have time for one donation right now. Okay. Now we're going to use Monkey to traverse some areas of the labyrinth that we were previously unable to access. There are quite a few routes that are faster as Monkey than normal Shantae. Same goes for the other dances, but it is actually slower due to the time it takes to transform. It takes about 5 seconds to transform and 2 seconds to de-transform back into normal Shantae. So you want to make sure that any reason that you have to morph into an animal would be at least a 7-second time save. Now I do also want to get the gem drops from both of these guys, so hopefully they give me good luck here. There we go, very good. They're perfectly synced. And here comes our first boss. Now, at the end of each labyrinth there is a boss where you defeat them to obtain the mystical stone that Risky Boots is after, to power up the steam engine and make it even more effective as a death machine. In each of the labyrinths you're supposed to use the dance that you just learned to help you defeat the boss. But this guy, all you have to do is trap him in a bit of a quick kill cycle. Just like this. There we go, he's dead. If you take too long on that boss, he will go off screen and start making waves, and you have to use the monkey transformation to avoid them. So upon exiting the labyrinth, Bolo explains to us what these mystical stones are. It turns out there are 4 of them, so we have to collect all of them to make sure that Risky Boots cannot use them for evil. The other ones are the Golem Stone, the Shimmer Stone, and the Twinkle Stone. And they all have elemental properties. So the next stone is located in Oasis Town. So we are going to go ahead and head on over to Oasis Town, which is all the way to the left. Normally we would transform into Monkey here to make the trek back a little bit faster. However, since we do now have to enter Scuttletown beforehand in order to purchase Storm Puffs, and we are not allowed inside town as an animal, just like real life, we actually have to remain as normal Shantae to save a few seconds. It's a bit inconvenient, but it is worth the time it saves. These spiders try to shoot at you, but by the time they shoot, they're already off screen. So the bullets never actually reach us. You'll see right here. There's a bullet. So on the way back through Scarecrow Fields, we actually do have to be a little bit careful. Because we want as much health as possible in order to navigate the Naga Wasteland as efficiently as we can. That was close. Good stuff. I'll wait this one out. And they can spawn right on top of you just like that. But not too bad. We have plenty of health for this next part. So here's Scuttletown once again. Gonna pop in, buy an item, and head on out. So these Storm Puffs are part of what I actually routed into the game a few months ago. And this trick coming up at the end of Oasis Town and the Genie cutscene skips are a major part of why it's actually worth it to go out of your ways to purchase the Storm Buffs. Naga Wasteland is one of the scariest areas in the game, both casually and for speedrunning purposes, because you do want to make sure that you have plenty of health coming out of here, and these guys are very difficult to avoid. They have homing shots that are a pain to deal with. I'm gonna take some damage here on purpose, so I can get myself down to 1 heart. And then we're gonna see if we can pull off one of a few different options for an invulnerability glitch that we have. I go for this one because it is technically fastest. It's definitely not the safest, but I do want to show off for the purposes of the marathon run. There we go, first try. So the reason that works is we're hitting 2 hitboxes at once on the cactus there since we hair whip into it. And when you hit 2 hitboxes at once, it actually causes Shantae's invulnerability frames to last forever. However, it only lasts until the end of the room unless you take yourself down to no hearts with it, in which case the only way to die is via instant death, such as via pit or spikes. Now I do equip Storm Puffs right here. I'm going to enter the Warp Squid hut. Now normally you would need 4 Warp Squids to accomplish this task, but if you kill yourself, the dialogue will play through, and you can talk to her again. Hair whip a few times, and suddenly you have 2 Warp Squids. We're going to exit and re-enter to clear the metadata in the room. And we now have 57 squids in our inventory, and that's why I call this trick Squid Underflow. Shoutouts to the task community for bringing this trick to our attention. Particularly Esco, Grandpa Glasses, that one random tasser. They're all awesome. I highly implore you to check out some of their works, because you will not be disappointed. Entering the item shop to pick up 3 exit candies. These will allow us to basically break the upcoming labyrinths by leaving early. And so we're just entering Sky's hatchery to gather some more information about where the Golem Stone's located. She's gonna razz us about being the guardian for a dinky fishing hole. And here comes Wrench, who you might recognize from later installments of the series as well. Now, in this game, the reason he's called Wrench is a little bit different than the sequels. In the sequels, he's claimed to be a combination of a wrench and a fin, or a wren and a finch. But, yeah, in this game, his purpose is taken a little bit more literally. You'll see why soon. With that, we are all finished in Oasis Town, And we are going to damage boost on our way back over through the Ladies' Desert. The reason for this being, it is nighttime, and enemies are twice as strong, so these little pillar guys that would normally take 5 hair whips or 1 storm puff to kill would take 10 hair whips or 2 storm puffs instead. So we are going to just not bother with them. Just walk right on through them. We got really good RNG for when those guys were deciding to walk or not. With that, we are out of there. And on to the Men's Desert, which is quite a bit more tranquil as far as the terrain goes. So we'll be able to traverse this area quite easily. Preferably damageless. We do have about 1 minute before we reach our next destination if you want to rattle off a couple more donations. Alright, and that's okay. We're just gonna make our own way on over. At this point, we cannot get hurt before the labyrinth, and that is perfect, because here we are. So after taking a full half second to try to figure out how to get into this labyrinth, we're going to ask Wrench for help, and he's gonna do his thing. Now, the gimmick for this labyrinth is magnetism, so we're gonna see a few red and blue enemies. Depending on whether they're red or blue, they will react to us differently. And hop over this guy. Heal up to full. Ooh. I did not get run speed there. That's alright. Actually saves us a little bit of time later on. So the first thing we're going to do is become... Oopsie. Become blue. So these guys will attack you if they're the same color as you are, and they will try to avoid you if you're the opposite color. We're going to become red. Dabba-dee dabba-dead. And attract this key holder to us. Just like that. And here begins our damage boosts. At the end of the next room, the room after next, I'm going to want to be at 1/2 heart of health. And that is for our first of 4, actually 3, genie cutscene skips that we can do with Storm Puffs. So we are down to 1/2 hearts of health. I'm gonna get hit one more time right here. Just like that. And once more after we drop down through this maze. There are quite a few of paths that I could take instead of this one, but they all lead to key doors that have 1 life and 1 extra key behind them. And since we don't need lives, and we're actually trying to get rid of lives right now for the game over warp, it's actually best to avoid those rooms. We are at 1/2 heart of health. Got 1 smooth drop down there. And keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to be pulling off quite a few inputs at once here. First thing we're going to do is activate this Storm Puff at a distance at which it will hit us. Right about here. I'm going to press B to talk to the genie, and then kill myself, switch to exit candies, and then as soon as they respawn, I'm just gonna get out of here. And with that, we have skipped the genie cutscene. Gonna go ahead and damage boost on our way over through here. So we now have the elephant dance. The elephant allows us to break natural barriers like this. Access more areas in the labyrinth. And this guy can give you a hard time. He's Magnet Man. Yeah, he's not giving me very good luck right now. Alright, I got him now, though. Never mind. You have to defeat him in order to get out of this area again. But we do need an extra key, and this is the most convenient place to get it. Gonna take one more hit right here, and be on our way. Do a couple of wiggles for good luck. And I have to be careful here because it is very possible to soft lock the game if you transform while picking up a key. So I'm actually going to wait a second and transform earlier, and then pick up the key. The previous runner of this game at SGDQ 2014 has had that happen to him before, where the game is just straight up hard locked because you were transforming. And that happened to me a couple of times as well, so it's really best to avoid that at all costs, even if it means losing like a half second. Boo, you're not going fast enough. This is the last really scary part of the run. Of the labyrinth, shall I say. Traversing this lava. But we got this, no problem. There we have it. There's a little trick that can save a few seconds if we happen to despawn. Nope, we didn't. You can despawn this elevator, and it saves a few seconds, but I think I've only gotten it in a run a few times before. It's not very consistent. And with that, we're coming up on our second labyrinth boss. His name is King Golem, and I have to be very, very careful here. Because if you mess up even once, you are probably dead. It's by far the most scary boss in the run to this point. So if everyone can get some Bless RNGs out in the chat, that'd be great. This is very technical, very high skill, and it's risky as heck. So here we go. And we did it. That's it. It's a mashing boss. Easy every time. Okay, and here's where the cycle begins to really matter. We're currently on the night cycle. It will turn daytime very shortly. And at this point, we have to actually return to the rightmost side of the map, so what we're going to do here is dance on a cactus and kill ourselves. This is going to take us all the way back to that save point we warped back to in Watertown. And that saves us, I want to say, 7 minutes of overworld navigation. So that's very useful. Here we are. Just head on out. Now we're gonna monkey our way on over. This is another very scary part of the run. I am gonna focus, but I don't require silence for it, so go ahead and read off some donations if you're so inclined. Okay, so as I said, the night cycle is now very important, because we have to be on the night cycle by the time we reach partway through the next 3 maps. These garden snails are actually one of the few enemies that have a noticeable difference besides increase in strength after night. They just tuck away and become invulnerable and don't try to attack you. If you want to see this area done very well, I recommend Vlak SR's run, because he is a god at this game as far as platforming goes, and his strats are to use Monkey all the way through here. Same thing with Wu Ping Long, actually. If you want to check out the SGDQ 2014 run, he has some really good lines through here. And this is by far one of the most technical areas of the game. Not easy by any means. These slime guys are RNG. Okay, we can work with that. Ah, heck. So we are on a really good pace right now for the early night cycle. As a matter of fact, we might be a little bit too early for the night cycle. We'll see, though. If you're too early, that's far better than being too late, because the night cycle, day cycle changes every 2 minutes and 8 seconds. That's 128 seconds for those keeping track. There we go. So if we were too late, we would have to wait for about 2 minutes for the night cycle to roll around again. And that's no fun. That's slow. Welcome to the town with the best music in the game. You only get to hear it for about 2 seconds, though. We're going to pick up some fireballs. 2 packs of 10. This will allow us to do some quick kills. By the way, if you want to hear more of this song, I recommend checking out my SoundCloud channel, Twistbit. And the most recent publication on there is from a couple weeks ago when I released a remix of Zombie Town. And it's electro swing style, so if you enjoy that, feel free to drop on by. We have to challenge Roddy Tops, the resident Zombabo here, to a race. And if we win, she shows us where the next stone is, the Simmer Stone. And if we lose our brains. So it's pretty high stakes. Also, Roddy Tops has some insane rubber banding for this entire race. Basically, you can take one mistake early on, and you can recover. But after the halfway point, if you hit something, you're pretty much done for. Because Shantae controls kind of like a car. And if she slows down too much, i.e. comes to a full stop, it takes her way too long to accelerate again. And the timing is very, very tight for these jumps that I'm making. You only have a handful of frames of wiggle room. However, it looks like we're getting through without a hitch. Nice. Easy every time. So we won, and now we have to backtrack again back to the labyrinth. Let's see, what haven't we explained yet? I suppose on the way back we can go ahead and get a couple more donations in. Alright. And I do want to mention a little bit about this game's history, by the way, because it's pretty crazy. It's far unlike any other game I've heard about. About 20,000 copies, I think, were produced, and for those who don't know, that's not very many copies. They go for like 300 bucks on eBay. Used out of box. Pretty insane. Ridertops is gonna take the phrase break a legs quite literally and use it to open the Cackle Mound. And this game was a bit of a victim of circumstance, honestly, because the game was in development ever since approximately 1994, technically, when Matt and Aaron Bozon came up with the concept. And since then, they'd been hunting around for various platforms upon which they could build the game. Eventually settled on the Game Boy Color, but it took them so long to find a publisher for the game that the Game Boy Advance came out about a year before they finally got Capcom to publish it. So, between that and poor advertising, this game didn't have much of a chance, unfortunately. So right here, we're gonna start having some eyeball puzzles to deal with. We're going to go ahead and use an exit candy as soon as we pick up this key. The slopes we went down are supposed to trap us in the labyrinth, but I don't think they accounted for the possibility of using an exit candy to just get out of there. So that saves us a few minutes and skips some of the worst rooms in the game. Some massive mazes, very dangerous stuff. I'm gonna heal up right here. This labyrinth has a stealth mechanic where if you hide in the shadows, then the enemies won't notice you and you won't get hurt. So since we're going fast, that is not very relevant. That right there is my favorite room in this labyrinth. It's a lot of fun. And now we get to try for some frame-perfect tricks. Here we go. Ooh, it was too early for that one. If you do it just right, you can whip the eyeball right back into the socket. Ooh, a little early. Once again. Come on, gotta get this once. Ah, too late that time. Alright, but you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and start transforming, so I can save some frames. Very important. And let us start damage boosting at this time. Once again, we're going to want to be at approximately a half heart of health as we exit the labyrinth and enter the genie cavern. There we have it. And here's Cyborg Shantae, which happens sometimes when you jump and hit a door while you're an animal. It only lasts for one room, but it's pretty kooky. Gonna take a hit right there, equip fireballs, take one more hit, and activate the fireball to kill this bat gal in 4 hits. This boss is unique. It's the only one that has this music in the entire game. You just have to hit the faces 16 times and they're dead. Oftentimes they will get into a pattern where they go back and forth between like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. I seem to be breaking that pattern right now though, unfortunately. That is RNG. I'm gonna take one more hit right here and menu while we're going in the door. Grab the Storm Puffs. Send one out right about here. Get myself killed and become a monkey. And now we have the spider dance, which is one of the most useless dances in the entire game. small hole we have to get in there. That's fairly fast. So we are actually able to skip with either Monkey or Harpy later on. Several... Ah. This is a shame. Yeah, once the eyeball gets down here, it's a mess to deal with. And you can't reset the room like you can with other eyeballs because... There we go. Because the next door is a long way away. Anyway, besides that flub, this was a pretty smooth Lab 3. As I was saying, Spider Dance is pretty useless. There are only 3 times that you even have to use it in the entire game. Coming up is one of those times, which is the Lab 3 boss, which likes to troll you quite a bit. So if we can get some more Blessed RNGs in the chat, that'd be great. So in order to quick kill this boss, you have to hope for good RNG. If you don't get good RNG, there is a chance to save it, but it's very frame perfect. Not just a little bit frame perfect, but very frame perfect. And we are locked in a crouching animation, so we did not get the quick kill, unfortunately. And so he's gonna wheel around a bit. Wheel and deal, as they say. Just gotta wait for him to drop down at some point, and then cast him into the pit. The good news is that this is actually good RNG, because it will allow us to trap him. Alright, and he just decided to say no. So never mind the whole quick kill thing. And he's going around again. Okay, this is terrible luck. And he's not even dropping onto a pit. Yeah, this is awful. Come on. Wow! Alright, so we'll be here for a while. Go ahead and read off some donations, I guess. This has never happened to me before. There we go. Okay, and he's giving us bad luck again. This is by far the worst fight I have ever had with this guy. Shoutouts to Marathon Luck. With that, 5 hits, he is Dunzo. Dunzo Washington. So that was pretty unfortunate. We were on PB pace until that happened. But it is what it is. We can finish the run with no pressure now. So now we're going to explain the whole situation to Roddy Tops. And she's going to tell us to head for Mount Pointy, which is the leftmost and most cold area of the game. Now we're going to do that by using our Oasis Town Warp Dance, which will take us very close. I'm gonna have to damage boost once here. I'm going to save some health and not take the other damage boosts here. Just to make sure we can get at least to the next screen without any problems. I might just heal up in the next town, just to be safe. But yeah, here's a little bit more trivia about this game and this series in general. Erin Boson is actually the one who created the concept of Shantae. And she and her husband worked together to create a bit of a universe around her. Matt was inspired to give her a hair whip attack after Erin's excessively long hair caused some third-degree burns across his face, so to say. That right there is Spider Skip. It's basically free, and it was discovered in SGDQ 2014. In the practice room, no less. So let's hop on over to the Rusty Gullet in Bandit Town, where we're going to talk to the nice, friendly Genie Guardian. Totally legit, very cool person. Just very nice and amenable, willing to help us out. Super cool. Friendly as heck. She seems nice. So I'm gonna head over to the bathhouse now. And we're just gonna take a quick swim, just to regain some safety health. Not too much. Now you saw you saw Spider Skip, now get ready for reverse Spider Skip. It saves even less time, it's way riskier, and there's basically no point to it, but I discovered it and I want to show it off right there. Just a little bit of a toot of my own horn. No big deal. There we go. We're going to be coming up on the ice werewolves. They're human during the day and wolves at night. They both present their own problems. Looks like we're going to be encountering them during the daytime. I actually prefer the wolf form because they're not as likely to jump. And if they jump, that's a problem. Because you can't really get out of the way if they decide to jump into you. So with that, we're gonna talk to our nice, friendly local Genie and Guardian. Genie Guardian. Guardian Genie. And enter the Twinkle Palace. She's gonna hang outside and make sure we get through okay. Very nice. So this labyrinth revolves around the block roulette, as I would call it. I'm going to try to stop all of these roulette ice blocks on the golem, because unlike the other two options, it can't block like the Wetman can, and it only takes one hit from the elephant to kill, unlike the Batgal, which takes two. So it is worth taking a little bit of extra time just to make sure that you have yourself lined up properly. And unlock the correct obstacle. These vortexes are only accessible by human Shantae, or half-genie Shantae as it might be. Half-human Shantae. This is a bit of a skip. This is actually the way I completed the game casually because I didn't know the correct way to solve that puzzle. But it turns out that you could just kind of do that and save a lot of grief. Here we go. It's okay if we take a little damage at this point, because pretty soon we will need to do another Storm Puff cutscene skip. And these slide puzzles are RNG as well. You have to play Vina White and kind of turn over the right tiles the right number of times and form a little bit of a mosaic. Ooh, and that's unfortunate. It's actually faster to do this. Just die down here, grab the extra life, and come back to the top. Gonna do one more little skip right here. Shoot ourselves all the way on over to the side. Start damage boosting a bit on these penguins. And this boulder. Going to break this one as well. Just shoot right on up here. And skadoop. Now we're going to transform into monkey and make our trek quite a bit easier through the next couple of levels. And this will allow us to get through a crawling segment a lot quicker. And take one more hit right here. We're now at a half heart of health, so I'm going to be very careful with this ice block. The most crucial in the game. Crawling as Shantae is very slow, so transforming into monkey there actually saves quite a bit of time. And we screwed up. Okay. Backup strat here is to equip a fireball and use it to kind of cheese her out. Just like that. Which is good because you do need to transform back into human Shantae anyway. Just gonna go ahead and break this puzzle as well. And here we are at our final genie cutscene skip. Perfect. So we now have the Harpy Dance, which will allow us to become a bird and fly everywhere. If you're familiar with Joust, Harpy controls quite a bit like Joust. And in fact, pretty soon, we are going to literally play Joust as our final boss of this labyrinth. Good mashing is very important for Harpy form. Let's head on up here. And as soon as we get this key, we're going to transform into monkey. Oof. And now we use monkey to enter a one-tile gap and pull off a very silly skip. It's an out-of-bounds trick that will take us straight to the labyrinth boss. So you untransform, run to the left, become spider. Due to the spider's wider hitbox, it'll force it in farther. You just keep switching between spider and normal Shantae. And eventually, you'll get far enough into the wall that you can just exit through the right side. And at this point, you want to be a harpy, and you can just fly out of bounds. Just like this. You have to be careful though, because if you go too far out of bounds, there's some garbled sprites that kind of look like Missing No. And if you touch them, you die. Actually, it's worse than that. You die IRL. Because the cartridge soft locks. Excuse me, hard locks. So to get back in bounds, we're gonna go over here as monkey, run to the right, hop on out, and become Cyborg Shantae for a brief and shining moment. becoming Cyborg Shantae there is a very nice backup because it allows you to do one hair whip before transforming back into your monkey form. And all of those chalices there before this boss room are full of hearts. So if you need backup health, you can use Cyborg Shantae to obtain it without untransforming and wasting 7 seconds. So as I said, this boss is entirely Joust. Because of the way Harpy controls, I do an extra flap after every hit to reset my trajectory. After each flap you have about a half second in which you can correct your angle. Just like that. So you want to make sure you land on him straight. And land on the ground straight as well. Alright, one more set of 4 and he's dead. That was a little sloppy, but that's okay. And make sure he doesn't get away, and we didn't. Nice. Do some wiggles. And jump in. Okay, at this point we have all 4 stones, so her plans are foiled. Oh dear, here she is. So it turns out that we've been inadvertently helping Risky Boots this entire time. She didn't even have to do any work. And with that, she takes the stones, gives Shantae a case of the Erg-Mergs, and ships herself off. Merg! Free! So at this point, the game prompts you to return to Mimic in Scuttletown for further directions, but all he does is say, oh, I don't know, just look in high places, I guess. So, in reality, Oasis Town is actually much closer to our final destination than anywhere else. So we walk back to Oasis Town and head up. Also, notice how I used Final Destination. I say that this Spy Scope platform right here should be a stage, because look at it. It's perfect. Shantae for Smash, man. Get it trending. So this magical Spy Scope allows us to see anywhere in the world and teleport ourselves to that location. So we're gonna look for Risky Boots now. We find her hideout over here on this very suspicious looking island. Pirates and death everywhere. So once again, this is a bit of a callback to the beginning of the game, where it's an entirely linear level, and you just have to navigate your way into the bowels of a massive steam factory. So we have time for one more donation. Okay. So this level is fairly straightforward. We will be doing some damage boost strats, such as right here, to get into the hole more quickly and efficiently. And we are coming up on some Sonic Spinball segments that are actually somewhat RNG as well, because of the sub-pixel placements. There is some consistent strategy involved here. For example, if you go all the way to the left and then hit 1 pixel over, you are 90% guaranteed to make that route successfully. And there's one more that usually gives me a little more trouble later on, so let's hope for the best there. What we're coming up on now, though, is an area that tends to lag a lot. And unfortunately, the best way through it, and also the way I did it casually because I didn't know you were supposed to use Spider there, is Harpy. So hopefully, if all goes well, we won't drop any inputs and die on the spikes on the way over. I'm going to cluster my inputs here to minimize the chance of that happening, and that went very smoothly. Let's go. It is RNG whether these Tinker Tanks go to the left or right. I'm going to try the current SGDQ holder strats. And that's actually much smoother and more consistent, so I think I'll just do that at the actual event. And from here on out, all we have to do is navigate the pipes, and we are good to go. Gonna pick up this safety health right here. So we have full health for the boss. Or bosses, as it may be. Right through here is where Risky Boots unveils her master plan, Chapter 19 Hardy Boys style. There are a few different ways to quick kill this boss. The one I use is by far the most risky, no pun intended. Gonna run into Risky Boots right here for luck. Just fall through the floor, don't worry about it. And off we go. So I actually timed this out a few days ago. My strategy here is about 1 minute and 40 some seconds, whereas the previous quick kill strat was approximately 2 minutes and 4 seconds, if I recall correctly. So if all goes well, I will be saving some time here. General workflow of this area is to destroy these wooden cogs. And quick transform during the cutscenes, so you can preserve your pike ball. Those things destroy themselves in 2 hits of the pike ball. Unfortunately, I dropped down, so I couldn't save any extra time. That's okay. We still made it, though. This one's a little trickier. It tends to not get hit as easily, but we made it. We're 2 for 2 on the quick transforms. We have to make sure we destroy the stones on the way over as well. There we go, just like that. Because otherwise, there's no point, and we'll have to reactivate another fireball anyway. There we go. These 2 quick transforms are very easy compared to the other 2. Drop down here and do this one as well. If you want to see this entire area done very nicely, feel free to check out Black SR's run once again. He has an insane Tinker Tank fight. I'm gonna dislocate myself right here a little bit just so I can save some time while transforming into Monkey, and hopefully I can get up here in time. Unfortunately not, but what I can do instead is just mash right here and use the rest of my time to kill it with my hair. It takes 20 hair whips. Or 7 pike ball hits. And with that, Risky Boots' plans are thwarted. And so now, of course, we have to fight the boss herself, Risky Boots. She takes 28 hits to kill, 18 in the first phase, and then 10 in the second phase after she loses her hat. She gave us good luck there, but at the wrong time. Fireballs make this fight much easier, but it is possible to defeat her with only hair whips. Just ever so slightly. It's very difficult, though, because her range is very scrupulous. If you're too close to her, then she will just hop away or start attacking. And she is completely invulnerable when attacking, so you want to make sure that she gets off as few attacks as possible. A good way to minimize the amount of times she attacks. Oh boy, here's the RNG gun. 1. Okay. Just like SGDQ. Not bad. So in order to minimize the amount of times that she decides to troll us, it is better to use fireballs as much as possible. Crouching actually extends your hair whip hitbox ever so slightly, so it makes it easier to hit her. And with that, she is finished. She's gonna jump into, assumably, the water. Wow. The rest of the island explodes, because obviously, the self-destruct mechanism has to be tied to whatever boss you defeat last. Such are the Metroid rules. Okay, and with that, I actually don't have to touch the controller anymore. So, what I choose to do with my final few seconds of the run is this, and I apologize to everyone. And time! So if you hang to the right there, the fireballs will never touch you. Except in very special circumstances. It usually hits you when you're at a half heart of health, of course. But, long story short, that's a safe way to stay out of trouble. And we do have a music cue that I should probably mention a little bit sooner than that. As soon as the last note in the song plays, that's when time ends. So, quick post-game stuff. Shantae, while unconscious from the explosion, is offered full-time geniehood. Full-time geniehood by her genie ancestors. Unfortunately, that means that she would have to leave the mortal realm forever. And she doesn't want to leave her friends behind. So, good girl Shantae is heading on back to Earth, presumably, depending on where Sequinland is actually located, according to the Boson canon. And after this big ol' fiasco, she decides to come clean to the town mayor about her status as a half-genie, rather than a full genie, because she was hired on the premise that she was a half-genie, or full genie, whereas she only is 50% genie. So she feels, you know, lesser than, and unable to properly defend the town. However, the mayor is also a very nice guy, and decides to keep her on as the town guardian. And the last line of dialogue is the mayor cracking a wise one by saying, "But can I get you for half price?" Whereupon Shantae just straight up dies. The end. Here we go. Get ready for it. Oh, the burn! And roll the credits. So I want to give my thanks to everyone on the couch, everyone who's running this event. It's super cool. All the people from the Shantae speedrunning community. I have a bit of a list here. And to note, I will actually have the list after I print it out. By the way, 109.11 is a great time. That's really, really good. I'm happy with that. I want to give thanks to... Let's see if I can remember it. I'm just gonna pretend I've been reading names this whole time, because I will have them in front of me. Thanks to all the WayForward staff, to Matt and Aaron Boson for creating an amazing series. Pardon me. Shoutouts to everyone in the dev crew. Shoutouts to Jake Kaufman, whose music is absolutely amazing. This entire game uses 4 channels, 3 pulses and 1 noise channel. And to imagine that all this wonderful music comes out of this chip for it is absolutely incredible. They actually had to cut some music from the game because Kaufman was too prolific with it, which I find incredible. Shout out specifically to Jeff Pomegranate. I really like his name, and he is in these credits. Right there. And thanks to everyone watching out there. Keep on donating. We have a great total right now, and I can't wait to see what we end up with at the end of this 3-day event. And with that, I shall pass it on. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your morning, and stay tuned for Strafe Millennium Edition. Cheers.